First of all, I know what you're thinking, why is this asshole making a 20-minute video about chromatic orbs? Well, there's a lot to it actually. I'll start with the technical stuff and then I'll teach you how to get the exact colors you need the most efficient way. And I'll also be talking about off colors. So reading the description of the orb, it says reforges the color of sockets on an item. Simple enough, right? There are actually a few things that determines the most likely outcomes when using chromes, and that is item base and attributes, which in a way are technically the same. So the chrome outcome is determined by three attributes: strength, evasion, and energy shield, as decided by the base item. Armor pieces are strength, which will prioritize the color red. Evasion pieces are dexterity, which will prioritize the color green. Energy shield pieces are intelligence, which will prioritize the color blue. Easy way to remember this is to pop the skill tree, and we have the manual right here. Intelligence blue, dexterity green, strength red. So if you have a green socket on an armor piece, that is considered an off color, since an armor piece will primarily roll reds. There are also hybrids, which have two attributes, for instance worm sign, that we have over here, of the base worm scale gauntlets, which is a armor evasion hybrid. Because it's armor and evasion, it has an equal chance of rolling as many reds as green, as we can see on the attribute requirements, 38 versus 38. If we look at Chains of Command, for instance, which has a saintly chainmail base, it's armor and energy shield hybrid, which means it will roll reds and blues, but very rarely greens. So green is the off color here. It also has a higher intelligence requirement than strength, which means it will still roll more blues than reds. These things are important to know when you're gearing up. If you're a spellcaster, the majority of your gems in general will be blue sockets, so you want to avoid pure armor and evasion pieces. So before I show you how to easily get the exact off colors you need, I want to talk a little bit more about attributes, namely the hidden ones. These only exist on very low level gear. So if we look at Gold Rim here, for instance, it shows no item attributes. Since it has no attributes, it has just about an equal chance to roll any of the three colors an equal amount of times. The lower the attributes, the higher the chance to get off colors. The higher the attributes, the lower chance to get off colors. However, Gold Rim actually do in fact have attributes. It's an evasion helmet, which means its prime attribute is dexterity, which equals green. Leather caps actually has hidden attributes of 13 dexterity, so greens are still prioritized slightly. Everything has an attribute requirement, but for some reason attributes below a certain number, I think 15, 16, probably 15, will not show, and I think this is because every class in the game has enough starting attributes for this to not even matter when equipping. Alright, onwards to off-coloring. I will be using these sorcerer boots as an example. They're energy shield base, which means it will prioritize the color blue. However, I, for some reason, need all four sockets to be red. There are a few ways of doing this. One, we just spam chromatics at it for 1,000 years until we get lucky. Or two, we use the crafting bench and use the at least one red option until we get it, which is essentially the same as spamming chromes. So since we need four of them, we could use the at least three options, which is expensive. Or we do the Varici trick that for some reason took the Passive Exile communities eons to discover. If you don't know what I mean by Varici, he used to be the socket fusing crafting master. So for this way of chroming, I won't really be using chromes at all, but rather jeweler orbs. So I'm going to start at 2 sockets and use the at least 2 red option. And then I will swap between 3 socket craft and 2 socket craft. Like this. So I got a blue, I want a red, so I'll go back. So I'll go back to 2, and then we'll do 3, 2, 3, until we hit the red. So we got the 3rd red. So the way the game works is that if you add a socket this way, it won't re-roll the sockets that were already there. So this is a pretty good way of hitting those off colors by using the smallest amount of actual chromes, and this is generally how you want to off color your 6 sockets. Of course, once you hit 5 or 6 sockets, the amount of jewelers you need will increase severely. So overall, you will save a lot of chromes by doing it this way instead. So we'll just keep going, see if we can get that last red, and there we go. We got 4 reds on energy shield base. So that's it for this video, and I do apologize for the length of it, but I'm gonna stay loyal to the use of 4 dummies. I'll see you next video.